Thank you, Phyllis. And thank you to everybody here to stay this long and to be part of this very somber occasion. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, of course, are among the most significant events in world history, and we must never forget. My heart genuinely extends to all the survivors and their families here today and honors the memory of all the innocent lives shattered by this unimaginable travesty. We must never let this happen again. In 1945, when those first atomic bombs were dropped, just the US had such deadly power. Today, 6 decades later, 30 countries have commercial nuclear power reactors, while 56 operate nuclear research reactors. Of these countries, 22 can separate highly enriched uranium or produce plutonium, essential bomb ingredients, atomic bomb ingredients. Enough fissionable material already exists to build another 200,000 nuclear weapons on top of what we already have. And that's growing every year by 7,000. All this under the guise of nuclear power. The catastrophe at Fukushima nuclear power station is not yet over, but it is already clear that the eventual cost will exceed $300 billion. As many as 200,000 people face the prospect of never being able to return to their homes. TEPCO has lost 83% of its value, destroying the savings of a great many people and local economies. Millions now fear the potential impacts of radiation on their children. But as catastrophic as this event continues to be, we must not lose sight of the bigger concern with nuclear power: weapons proliferation. We can all agree the world would be better off without more nuclear weapons and nuclear-armed nations, but this requires removing the political cover provided by civilian nuclear power programs. And this is why every time uranium is fissioned inside a nuclear reactor, the deadly element plutonium is created. Plutonium and other byproducts of nuclear power plants are the essential ingredients of nuclear bombs. Any country with a nuclear reactor can, in theory, produce a nuclear weapon. And they are. We've learned this the hard way. The original 5 nuclear weapon states are now 9, and they're about to be joined by a 10th. All of the newcomers acquired their weapons under the guise of developing civilian nuclear power programs. As just one example, India covertly used plutonium from a Canadian-supplied reactor for its inaugural blast in 1974. Today, India has 60 to 80 nuclear warheads, yet still refuses to sign the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, or the NPT. Despite this, Canada intends to make major uranium exports to this nuclear weapons state and its regional arch-rival, Pakistan. By contrast, Australia has refused to sell uranium to these non-NPT states. Shame on Canada. The world is already flush with atomic bomb ingredients, but international treaties safeguard only about 1% of the highly enriched uranium and only 1/3 of the plutonium. Should we feel safe? Think. Just one plum-sized sphere weighing 8 kilograms is all that is needed to make an atomic bomb that could be delivered by bicycle, backpack, or briefcase. Even a minute amount of illicit diversion, theft, or black market trade is intolerable, yet inevitable. The fact remains that the skills and materials used for nuclear power are indistinguishable from those needed to build nuclear weapons. Can we stop the fast flow of materials, equipment, knowledge, and skilled people from creating do-it-yourself bomb kits wrapped in innocent-looking civilian disguise? The Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, the NPT, has only slowed, not prevented, the spread of nuclear weapons. Not surprisingly, given the international problems of weak treaties, inspections, and sanctions, the potential for nuclear terrorism continues to grow, and the doomsday clock ticks on. Let's visualize for a moment a world without nuclear power. Atomic bombs would become harder to get, more conspicuous, and politically costlier to be caught with, because the purpose would be unambiguously military. This might not make proliferation impossible, but it would make it more difficult to advance and much easier to detect. And that's why phasing out nuclear power is a necessary condition for non-proliferation. Atoms cannot be made to work for peace without making them available for war. The peaceful and military atom are inextricable. We must learn to live without both. So we need to reassess Article 4 of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, the NPT, which allows for the transfer of nuclear technology and materials to NPT signatory countries for civilian nuclear power programs. But remember that the NPT was developed in the 60s, when nuclear power was expected to be cheap, safe, abundant, and indispensable. But the past half-century has radically changed our understanding of energy options. Now we have cheaper, faster, more elegant ways to meet our energy needs that don't create deadly, long-lasting waste or safety and security concerns. Indeed, the market has spoken. Nuclear power investments have been dwarfed by cheaper, faster, less risky, decentralized competitors called micropower. These options include cogeneration, as well as renewable sources of energy like solar, wind, geothermal, hydro, and of course conservation. The shift away from centralized nuclear and fossil fuel plants of the last century to renewables and efficiency is now well underway. In recent years, global green power investments have delivered 30 times more energy than new investments in nuclear plants. Solar panels and wind turbines are getting cheaper, while nuclear construction costs soar. Yes, green power and efficiency can meet our global energy needs. We have the technology, and they can deliver carbon reductions faster at less cost, creating more jobs and economic benefits while strengthening world security and non-proliferation. This is our, yes, we can do it. This is our golden opportunity to marry environmental and security realities with our stated non-proliferation goals. But if industrialized nations like Canada, with all our wealth, infrastructure, and skill, claim we still need more nuclear power, then all the other countries gain an excuse to follow suit, and we all lose. On the other hand, if we pursue non-nuclear alternatives that work better and cost less, as the market confirms, then less endowed countries can pursue the green energy path too, and we all win. Germany aims to be nuclear-free by the end of this next decade. Japan, Italy, Switzerland, and others are all reconsidering their nuclear plans in the wake of Fukushima. The world will be safer for this shift in energy policy. Instead of exporting uranium around the world as Canada does under the guise of atoms for peace, why not export sunbeams or negawatts for peace? This is the This is the surest path to a richer, fairer, cooler, safer world. Who wouldn't be in favor of that? We can hope that with the sale of AECL, there will be fewer CANDU reactors endangering the planet. That's a good start. But we also have to fight and win the battle against new reactors at Darlington, as well as the planned refurbishment of 4 existing reactors. Because every dollar spent on nuclear is a dollar not spent on green energy. The Ontario Clean Air Alliance is working to win this one, as are other groups. Please join us. I have a table at the back that you can sign on to my email list that Phyllis referred to, and you can get some materials to distribute to your friends, including this book called Atomic Accomplice, written by Ontario and Paul McKay, which spells out the connections between nuclear power and nuclear weapons. It's an excellent resource. But I'd like to leave you with hope. We are winning this energy battle, and we must. Our beautiful planet is blessed with infinitely abundant solar and wind and water resources that can deliver pollution-free energy, prosperity, and peace. Indeed, it already is. So let's celebrate as we say, no more nuclear. Or as they said in the 60s, nuclear power, no thanks. And might I add, nuclear weapons, no thanks. And I'd like to give the last words to the Japanese Prime Minister, Naoto Kan, his words were spoken at the Hiroshima Day commemorations earlier today. He said, "I deeply regret believing in the security myth of nuclear power. In memory of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, I wish you all peace."